these lessons online. There is a little link that Mr. Galloway put on the website if you forgot what it was or you couldn't find it and you couldn't find the outline and the address. I'll show you where that is. It's in the wrong spot, but at least it's there somewhere. Okay? So, first day, we did a monomial times a binomial. How many terms am I going to get when I multiply this? 1, 2. Okay? Yesterday we did a binomial times a binomial. How many terms are we going to get when we do this one? First we're going to get 4. We might end up with 3. Okay? Because we're going to do, and there's 4 ways to do this, right? Algebra tiles, distributive law. Those are probably the ones you probably don't want to do, but if you want to, fine. The 2 good ways are area diagram, okay, or FOIL. So you're going to get 2 terms by doing distributive law that way. You're going to have xy plus 3x, and then you're going to get 2 by doing distributive law with the second one. You're going to have 2y, and 2 times 3 is 6. How many terms do I get when I multiply a binomial by a binomial? 4. Usually they'll simplify into 3. Can I collect any of these, or are they all unlike terms? Yeah, these are unlike terms. I can't collect any of those. And if you're kind of going, what? That was like distributive law. Let's look at it by FOIL. Okay? First, x times y. O is outside 3 times x. I is inside 2y. And last is 2 times 3, 6. I get the same thing. Someone's asking me, what's the difference between distributive law and FOIL? Not much. Just the way of thinking about processing it. But you get the same answer, right? Okay? In the same order, too. Okay, so today we're just going to, it might be a binomial times a binomial, a monomial times a monomial. We're mixing them all up. We're going to save the big daddy for tomorrow. The big daddy. A binomial times a trinomial. Okay? Here we got 2 terms. Here we got 4 terms. Tomorrow, how many terms are you expecting out of this one? 6. When I multiply this by all 3, I get 3. When I multiply that by all 3, I get 3 more. I get 6 terms. Okay? But that's tomorrow. First, don't ever go, that's a squared plus b squared. I'm not even going to write it down because some of us are visual and we'll see it and go, oh, when you get the test, I remember him doing that. I remember a visual picture of that. I'm going to do it. Don't. Okay? Just like 4 squared, what does that mean? It means 4 times 4. This thing squared is itself times itself. This thing squared is itself times itself. It's a binomial squared. I better get 4 terms here, not 2. It's not a squared plus b squared. Okay? So what is that? FOIL it. A times a squared. Outside, a times b, ab. Inside, b times a. Is that the same as a times b? Yeah. So let's write it like that because I already have an a times b. Last, b times b is b squared. Can I collect a couple of things? Yeah. Do I have 4 terms here? Yes. But now I'm going to have 3. I have 1 AB. I have another AB. That's 2 AB. These are like terms, right? Plus b squared. Okay? This is not exactly the same, but it's awfully similar. Okay? FOIL. Again, there's 4 different ways to do this. If you like the area, you know what? Let's do that. Let's do the area diagram. So I got a minus b times a minus b. I'm going to write a minus b, a minus b, okay? If you like your little grid, do your little grid. Hey, you can even totally box it in if you want. I got to fill all 4 spaces. When I multiply a binomial by a binomial, I get 4 terms. There they are. What's a times a? A squared. What's negative b times a? Minus ab in alphabetical order. A times minus b? Minus ab. Same thing. And negative b times negative b, what's a negative times a negative? Positive b squared. Okay? So that's a squared. I got minus ab, another minus ab, that's minus 2ab plus b squared. I had 4 terms. You should always check that. It's simplified to 3. Okay? This is kind of similar, but we're going to take one of those and multiply them. Let's see what happens in this case. FOIL. A times a squared. Outside. A times positive b is plus ab. I is inside. Negative b times a, the same as a times b. And last, negative b times b is minus b squared. Do I have a couple of like terms here? I have an AB. I take away an AB. How many ABs do I have? That's a special guy. We will talk about him later, because that actually simplified down to 2 terms, didn't it? We had 4, like always, but it simplified down. These guys canceled out. Okay? 3 important products. So all I want to emphasize is when you see this square thing, that's a binomial times a binomial. In this case, it's a binomial times itself. You still need 4 terms. We don't really need to know what they're saying here, okay? But let's just say it. The square of a binomial, that's this, a binomial squared, can be found by squaring the first term, okay? There's the first term, let's square it. Doubling the product of the 2 terms. What's the product of AB? AB. If I double it, I get 2AB, and squaring the last term. Is that the same as this? Yeah. Do you need to know that? No. You get the same answer just by foiling it, or distributive law, or area diagram, this guy, okay? You don't need to know this. This is something I'm going to emphasize in grade 11. Can make your life a little easier. But that's when we get like really big things like that, okay? It's the same thing. It's a binomial squared, but this gets a little bit uglier. If we know this little point, it'll be helpful next year. But grade 10, don't even worry about it, okay? All we got to do is FOIL. Expand. What's another word for expand? I'm going to share something really funny I saw once. Another word for expand is multiply. I've seen this as an answer on a test. Expand. I got it. Yeah, no, sorry. That's not going to work. Okay? English, we have lots of meanings for the same word. Multiply. What's the first thing we want to do here? We want to write it out like this. Okay? This thing squared. There's 2 of them. That should be your first step. Then we're not going to make the mistake x squared plus 7 squared. Okay? The binomial squared. Okay, now do you want to FOIL? Like going ahead, I can't do this question 4 different ways. Okay, so if you like area diagram, by the way, I never did a poll. Who likes foiling best? from yesterday's? Okay, most of you. Who likes area diagram? That's fine if you do. It's just as good as the other way, all right? And when we do that one I talked about earlier, binomial times a trinomial, there's no FOIL there, because I don't have that FOIL's got 4 letters. I don't have an acronym for 6 letters. We're going to do area diagram with that one, okay? So if you're already using it, that might be a little bit better. Okay, did anybody like algebra tiles?
Yeah. I like it.
No, you would use that to do this question? Okay, I don't think you would. And then the other one was distributive law. I've had a couple people in the past like that way. Did anybody like that way? Okay, so FOIL's 75% of us, 3/4. So that's how I'm going to do these, okay? FOIL, first terms in each brackets is the x and the x. X squared. Hey, just like SOHCAHTOA, write it. Outside terms, that's x times 7, which is 7x. Inside is 7 times x, which is also 7x. And last, 7 times 7 is 49. And then it doesn't say simplify, but you should. Is there some like terms I can add together? Yeah, that's x squared, 7x and 7x, I got 14 x's, plus 49. Okay, I'm not going to do all these. Let's look at this guy. What's the first thing we should do? Yes. Yep. Okay, write it out. Okay, get rid of that squared. This is the same as this. That's the first thing you should do. Then you won't make a mistake of not having 4 terms. Okay, FOIL it. 2 times 2 is 4. M times m is m squared. That's first terms. Outside terms is negative 6mn. Okay, now we got variables in both spots. The same procedure. Inside, negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. nm, which is the same as mn. Doesn't matter what order those are in. And last is negative times a negative is a positive. 3 times 3 is 9. N times n, n squared. Okay? So like I said, same as yesterday, it's just they're getting a little bit bigger, a little bit uglier. Can I collect a couple things there? Yeah, I got -6 of these things. I got another -6 of those things. So I can collect that and have -12 of those things. Everything else is unlike terms. Okay? Let's do this one. FOIL. 5a times 5a, 25a squared. Outside, minus 15ab. Inside, plus 15ab. Last, minus 9b squared. Anybody getting that quick? Good. Doesn't matter how fast you go. You don't get any more marks than someone who takes an hour and a half. You just got to make sure you get the right answer, okay? There's no speed contest here. Everybody okay with that? Okay, can I collect something? How many ABs do I have, Tyrell? Had 15 bucks, spent 15 bucks, got no bucks. By the way, AB is bucks. Okay, so that's just 25a squared minus 9b squared. Okay, let's add a little bit something else. What's new with this question? We got a little number out front. Okay, really try to pay attention because this is something that doesn't stick in your heads. There's two ways to do this. If you just had this, guys, what would you do? It says expand, multiply. What would you do? Distributive law. 10x minus 15. Okay? That's what this is. So you can do that first. All of that's multiplied by x minus 6. Now we're back to where we were yesterday and 10 minutes ago. That's a binomial times a binomial. Okay? So that's one way to do it. Let's see what we have when we FOIL. 10x squared minus 60x minus 15x. Negative times a negative is a positive. What's 6 15s? 90. Okay, can I collect a couple of things? 10x squared minus 60 minus 15, that's minus 75 x's plus 90. Okay, that's method one. Let's show you a different way. The different way is, let's just ignore that 5 for now. That says 5 times these two binomials. So how about I just do those two binomials first. Then when I'm done, I'm going to multiply everything by 5. Okay, so let's FOIL that. 2x squared minus 12x minus 3x plus 18. But everything here is multiplied by 5. Okay? You have to put the brackets there. It's not just 5 times the first thing, it's 5 times everything. That's 10x squared minus 60x minus 15x plus 18 fives is 90. Did I get the same thing? Yep. Collect those. Okay, that's the same as this. That's method 2. Which way is better? Well, I don't know if it's obvious, but yeah, actually the second method is probably better, because what happens if this 5 is not a 5, but it's like a 5x squared? I don't know, z minus 2. Let's make it as small as possible. What if that's a 50x squared? Do you want to have all those huge numbers, multiply them all? Or do we want to just FOIL that, then multiply everything by 50? Usually method 2 is better. Okay? And the other reason why I'm saying that, because lots of times people will try to times that 5 into both sets of brackets. Don't. You only multiply it by the first set of brackets. Okay, not both sets. Here, that's what this became, right? I'm not multiplying 5 by the x minus 6. That stays as it is. So if we FOIL it first, then multiply it by the 5, we never have that problem. Okay? How many more do we want? Is this like really, really bad? No. All that is FOILing once, FOILing twice, and then taking the difference. Okay? That reminds me of like an area problem that we've already had, where I'm going to calculate the area of the whole thing, and then subtract this little chunk here to get the area of this shape. Okay, that's kind of what that says to me. I'm not going to do that. Let's do, okay, that's it. Last one, all right? Okay, declutter your brain. Don't even look here. Just do the first one. Let's see what we have. then do the second one. Okay? Is this a binomial? No, it's just a monomial. This is like distributive law. You actually should have had some of these in grade 9. Okay? So that's 15 x times x squared is x cubed, minus 5 times 7 is 35, x times x is x squared, 5x times 1 is 5x. Okay, the first one's done. Now let's look at the second one. So you see this minus here? That's a lot similar to the question I just did. It's not a 5, but I could think of that as a minus 1, right? Do you want to take that minus and multiply it in the first set of brackets first? Or do you want to save that till later and FOIL that first? I think the second way is better. Let's just save that minus. Let's FOIL this and see what we get. Okay? So 4x times 5x is 20x squared. Outside, negative 8 times 4 is minus 32x. Inside is 15x cubed. And then finally, negative 8 times 3 is minus 24x squared. Okay? Just like that 5, that minus 1 is multiplied by everything in the brackets. If you don't have brackets there, it's the wrong answer. So the only thing I'm going to do is remove these brackets. I still have this. I still have that. I still have this. Minus 20x squared. Negative times a negative is a positive 32x. That becomes minus 15x cubed. And a negative times a negative is a positive 24x squared. We having fun yet? Okay. Now, no more brackets. That's all I did. Flip the sign on every one of these. That's what that minus does. Okay? Can I collect some stuff? Yeah, and you probably want to be systematic. There's an x cubed. Do I have any others? There's one there. I have 15, I don't know, devils. I take away 15 devils. How many devils do I have? Well, that was nice. X squareds. Minus 35x squared. Minus 20, that's minus 55 x squareds. Plus 24 x squareds. What's that? Minus 31 x squareds, right? Right? Is my addition okay today? Lastly, x's. I got 5x, 32x. How many x is that? 37. That's it. Well, that's a lot more simplified than the stuff I started with, isn't it? That's what I had. This is what I ended up with. I would say that's simplified. Okay. 1 to 5 odd letters and 6